Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the TCG Player Invitational Qualifier hosted by Apex Gaming. I'm Tandy, joined by Mason Clark. Say hi, Mason.
Hi, Mason.
Now, we just had a marathon in game 2 of a long Ruby Amethyst mirror, and now we'll never have to see that again, hopefully. But we do have a pretty sweet one to bring you this round. We're going to be watching two players that we have watched on camera before. That's Nicholas Rausch against Randall Webbing. And it looks like they are already down in the feature match area and ready to go. So let's head on down there, and while they begin, we'll discuss the matchup, their decks, and etc. while they're doing their opening turns. On your left is Nicholas Rausch playing Ruby Amethyst versus Randy Webbing playing Emerald Amethyst. And the players are finished. Oh, that's the Ruby Amethyst is wrong. I apologize for that. I believe that Nicholas Rausch is on Amber Steel, but don't quote me on that. I got to check deck lists.
He is.
Okay.
We watched him a couple times today.
All right. We'll get that fixed in just a moment. While we get that set up, why don't you tell us a little bit about this matchup? Because Emerald Amethyst is a relatively new strategy. How do you think it fares against Amber Steel Aggro?
Yeah, it's interesting. Both players have decks that are trying to be the beatdown in a lot of ways, through various means, but Steel has more damage-based removal, while Amethyst has more card advantage. So I think it's really going to depend on early board control, because if you get on board early, it's going to be harder for the Emerald Amethyst player to draw cards, where if you fall behind, it is going to be very easy for them to sort of spend time drawing cards and to stay ahead of your removal. So I think that's going to be a big part of the dynamic in this matchup.
All right. Well, a fast start for both players. Randy Webbing goes Duke into Pascal. Nicholas Rausch leads with Lilo, or sorry, Stitch New Dog into Prince Eric, and now has the ability to challenge. Let's see if he wants to quest with Lilo or with Stitch or trade.
Yeah, it is very interesting. We kept talking about this Nicholas Rausch's deck, the Amber Steel one, and I understand that the idea behind Lilo of you want to be able to play the aggressor in the longer games, but or against the decks where that's like good, but I don't know. It still feels so weird for that to be in this sort of really mid-rangey deck, Like to harken to other games, would you put Lava Spike in your mid-range deck? I don't know.
Probably not. The characters themselves do a great job of being dual purpose. I think Lilo specifically plays really nicely against some decks when you're being hyper aggressive on the play. Like, obviously, the characters that challenge are a lot more defensive, but what they really are bodies. And those are bodies that have multiple uses. And so, if you can just find a way for things like Stitch Rockstar to get online, I think anything is good. And against some matchups like Turtle and Lilo, even in a not very aggressive deck, is still going to be pretty solid.
No, that's a great point. The Stitch Rockstar does probably move the needle enough.
All right, here's Tinkerbell, baby Tinkerbell, the 3-drop from Steel. This one is going to allow for a potential shifted Tink Giant Fairy next turn, which threatens to chew up the Pascal quite nicely. We'll see if Randy has anything to protect here. All right.
Got a Cheshire as well.
Going to start with a song, Friends on the Other Side. Maleficent in this deck is so strong. It allows you to sing Friends on the Other Side and Mother Knows Best, two just excellent songs, and it just makes the body on Maleficent so much more valuable since it replaces itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Maleficent is a card that is very good, and part of the reason she is so good is because of the package, right, of Friends on the Other Side. But like you mentioned, Mother's Know Best really kind of doubles up your turn 4 plays to Maleficent, and really superchargers her in the deck.
All right, here's Cheshire Cats. And we're going to quest for one. Okay. Do your worst, Nicholas Rausch. That's what Randy says. Let's do some questing and some singing. Well, it's going to get pretty bad. I'll tell you that much. It's going to be a full board clear for very little effort. Here's Tinkerbell. It's going to deal 1 to everything. It's going to allow him to challenge the Maleficent, and then we're going to deal 2 extra damage to the Cheshire from the extra ability. And now we can even quest with Prince Eric if we want to. It does leave it exposed to a Rafiki, but the Tinkerbell is also exposed to Rafiki, and I think that that's a much bigger and a more important target.
Yep. Yeah, there's never going to Rafiki down your Prince Eric over the Tinkerbell, and you should give them the option to. If they want to, you want them to.
All right, Nicholas disagrees. We're going to go back Randy's way and see if he has that Rafiki to punish this Tinkerbell. It's a nice little trade, but Randy's going to basically be passing back with an empty battlefield after that.
Yeah, and we're seeing this as, Emerald turn 5 is the turn where things normally are really strong here. So Randy's going to need something like Cusco or Mad Hatter, something that has a bunch of lore and a decent sized body, but the Tinkerbell is going to check it very well.
All right, Randy trying to sequence this turn has the ability to just play a 5-drop, something that doesn't look that desirable when you can clear a Tinkerbell. The Tinkerbell is terrifying, and you can clean it up with, uh, you know, your Rafiki pretty easily here. But Randy's going to say, hey, this Cusco is more important. Let's go ahead and quest with it. And here's the punish. Rapunzel going to draw 2 cards and refresh that Tinkerbell, and the Rafiki no longer good enough. Does Nicholas Rauch start churning up the lore? Do you start questing with Prince Eric?
You gotta do something. That is all I know for sure.
Yep. Here's a Lilo. The pressure's on. All right. Gonna go back Randy's way. Nicholas getting aggressive here with the Prince Eric. Said, hey, you didn't have Rafiki last turn. What makes you think you got it this turn? Well, that's because Randy disguised it quite well.
Yep. Yeah, and sort of, not calling the bluff last turn on the turn where the opponent's color has their strongest card. Kind of a little bit of a small misstep there from Nicholas. Emerald wants the turn 5 to play something like Cusco, and making them use something like Rafiki really throws off their general vibe.
Now, this is a really bad spot for Randy, even if he's able to do some interaction here. Mother Knows Best, Rafiki. He's facing down like a Rapunzel replay if he wants to bounce that. He's facing down a big Tink replay if he wants to bounce that. I know that we definitely want to eat the Prince Eric. That's like pretty easy mode. And then everything else other than that is like, who knows?
Agreed.
All right, we're going to bounce a big Tink. We're going to send it back. And we're going to go questing. Okay, Randy's getting aggressive. He found the line. We'll see if this is a way for him to get back into the game. Back Nicholas's way.
Yeah, I guess you have like Rapunzel, hit Rafiki, big Tink, quest with Lilo, and then you're not that far behind, and then your Rapunzel set up for the next Rapunzel.
All right, here's Tink. Damage on your stuff. Then we can go Rapunzel eats the Rafiki. Maybe quest for 2 the Lilo, because if they challenge with Cusco, that's good news.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Looks like Nicholas agrees. And go back Randy's way. Let's see what he's got. Access to 6 ink. Couple cards in hand.
Yeah. Randy's done a good job every round we've watched so far, really planning out the turn and then executing, something I'm a big fan of. He is starting to fall a bit behind now. This Tinkerbell is causing a lot of problems, but something definitely Randy can maybe do to get out of this. Like we could Cusco attack the Rapunzel, play around Rapunzel, just sort of set up for a longer game. That Rapunzel being 2 lore is a lot, and if a Rapunzel's drawn off the top, that could be backbreaking.
Yeah, I agree. I think attacking with the Cusco here is pretty bad though, because what it does, it means that you have something that's exerted for maybe for Tinkerbell to challenge, or at the very least your Lilo can just go after it and trade, right? Oh, I guess not. Never mind. Pardon me.
You're good.
But now you can't really play another character, because if you do, there's just like a whole lot of. Whoa, what are you bouncing? Ooh, bouncing the Lilo. Interesting.
That is interesting. I wonder what the idea is.
You don't want Tink to chew you up again?
I
I don't
guess
know.
so. Yeah. Yeah, I guess the Tink has to trade with Cusco this way is the idea, and the Lilo. No, yeah, it makes sense.
All right, here's an arrow singer. We're gonna go find
Oh,
and grab your sword. That one's gonna make things even worse for Randy down the line. We can
might
also
make it worse
deploy.
now.
Oh yeah, just to go ahead and sing it to clear off that Cusco. I like it. I like it. All right, and here's Tinkerbell, baby Tinkerbell.
Yeah, and honestly, that Lilo might get discarded to the Tinkerbell and just keep trying to find answers because I think Nicholas has done a good job of navigating this game to a spot where Randy really needs cards like French on the other side, Magic Mirror, stuff like that, if he's going to keep up.
Yeah, you don't see Magic Mirror too much outside of the like really dedicated control decks like Ruby
Mhm.
Amethyst. In these Emerald Amethyst decks, Friends on the Other Side is good, and the Maleficent 3-drop is good because they kind of are free or do something while drawing a card. Whereas Magic Mirror is just like a pure investment in card advantage, and that's just like not something Emerald decks are really about.
Mhm. That's fair. I think I've often thought maybe having one mirror is fine, but it's a lot different than other games where the other games have mana, and that means you have dead draws. And in this game, your cards will always do something. So,
Right. That's one of the reasons why it's hard to get Beast Mirror online. It's a lot
mhm.
harder to get that card going than I thought it would be. Here's a smash on the Tinkerbell. All hopes being dashed here for Randy Webbing in game number 1 of our semifinals here. We're going to quest for 4. We still have access to 3 more ink to play more stuff. Here's a Lilo and an Aladdin. Both can quest for 2. A very aggressive deployment.
Mhm.
Randy packs it in. Game number 1 goes to Nicholas Roush. Writings on the wall. Comes down, if you ask me, to 2 things. The Tinkerbell turn where it swept him up, and the Rapunzel turn where it had the big draw punish after leaving the creature with damage on it.
I agree 100%. I think those were the pivotal turns. I wonder how old mirror match is going over there, or the matchup is going over there.
I don't know, but while we are between matches, I want to take this time to shout out some of our sponsors. Thank you so much to Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Wings Etc. keeps us fed on these long tournament weekends. I always love visiting Caldwell, Ohio, because I know that I'm going to get a nice hot meal, a couple drinks, and have a good time with my fellows here at these long tournament days. Big shout out to our flagship sponsor of the uh, invitational that we're running. That's TCG Player. It's the TCG Player Invitational on October 20th weekend. We're going to be holding that in Caldwell, Ohio. We're going to be streaming it live as well as having large events during Saturday and Sunday as open events. For those of you who don't qualify for the Invitational, and on that Friday, we're going to be holding 2 last chance qualifiers where you can earn a ticket to the TCG Player Invitational. We have another tournament coming up on the weekend of October 14th. We're going to have another invitational qualifier here in Caldwell, Ohio. Make sure to come on out if you'd like to try to earn your ticket to our flagship event. Also, big shout out to Ultimate Guard. They have incredible TCG products. I love the katana sleeves more than any other sleeve I've ever used, and I've only ever used them twice. They're all like sold out most of the time.
Mhm. Yeah, they are nice sleeves. That shuffle, ooh ah.
Yeah. Well, we're entering game number 2. For those of you just joining us, I'm Tandy of the Lost Boys. Our podcast is all about Disney's Lorcana. You can check out at Lost Boys LOR on wherever you find your podcast. You can also find us on YouTube. I'm joined in the booth by Mason Esports Clark. Mason is usually a big Magic head, but he's been getting into Lorcana. Mason, what do you think about this game so far?
It's really fun. I'm really excited. I've liked base set Lorcana, just chapter one. I'm really excited to see 2 years from now. Obviously, the Floodborn set's coming out, and that is cool. But I'm excited to see sort of what happens as time goes on with this game and sort of where it goes. I think the games are fun. I think they're really intricate, and I think the game is a lot harder than people think it is, if that makes sense. Like, I think a lot of people
Yeah,
have thought the game is pretty simple outside of Ruby Amethyst Mirrors, and I think there's a lot of nuance that gets lost from like
absolutely.
talking to players and watching them play.
I mean, even just mulliganing is much
Mhm.
more difficult than any of us realize yet. And I think most of us just kind of are winging it based on previous game knowledge, and things are fine or smooth or whatever. But we're going to get into metagames and we're going to get into decks that we're building where mulliganings are going to be extremely important because we're balancing the gaps between having inkables and non-inkables. And we're just going to be playing really powerful uninkable cards and gambling on how we mulligan. But
Mhm.
we just don't have that yet.
Agreed. I'm really interested to see what the number becomes. Like, is 16 the most you can play and reasonably, do stuff, or like can you play like 20 if they're strong enough? Like
I
what
think it's
is
curve consideration, right? If you have enough one drops that are all crazy, I think that you can probably get away with like 20. And I think that there's already like an Amber Amethyst build that does something like that. And it plays, 8 of the one drops that quest for 2. It'll
Mhm.
just be interesting to see how those types of decks develop when they have access to more tools.
Agreed.
All right, we are well underway here. Randy Webbing on the play goes Pascal into Flynn Rider into Cheshire Cat, a nice curve. Nicholas Roush starts with Stitch New Dog into Prince Eric, so he can challenge back. We'll see if he has a big punish here or just some natural back and forth. Here's an Aerial Singer looking for grab your sword. Let's see if we can find it. 1, 2, 3. No, miss. Big miss. All right, put him on the bottom. Classic Augur of Bolus.
Yeah. Look at the bottom 4 cards of your deck.
Now, if he does draw a song, he can use it later on. Choosing not to challenge the Flynn Rider either doesn't want to discard a card or wants to do something really disgusting next turn.
Yeah, interesting. That really signals like Tinkerbell or grab your sword or something, but it's so far away because we're on the draw.
Well, grab your sword is potentially next turn thanks to Singer 5. Everything else, you're right.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we found the 6-drop Tinkerbell, but we don't have anything on it just yet. Nicholas Roush has Stitch Rockstar at the ready. Can play that on the Stitch New Dog if he likes, but it's not going to be enough right now to clear, and Randy Webbing already at 9 lore.
Yeah. I mean, these Emerald decks get a lot of lore really quickly if you do not respect cards like Flynn. So it's going to be interesting to see sort of what happens. All right.
All right, we are going to, we're going to put Rockstar in the Inkwell, and then we're going to go attacking. We're going to hit the Cheshire for 2, and then we're going to finish it off, and that's going to kill just the Stitch, and then no damage dealt to the Aerial. And then we're going to play, looks like Baby Tank, and now that we drew Big Tank, we're going to be looking to do that next turn. And then Flynn Rider going to go ahead and challenge get challenged by Prince Eric, and then we're going to discard a card. See what we discard. Ooh, Rapunzel. That's scary, right?
Yeah, if my opponent does that, I'm like, oh, your hand's like Big Tank and more Rapunzels, and that's it.
Well, guess what?
Whoa!
Oh, you must be pretty good, huh?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
All right, here's Rafiki. Come chewing him up. 2 damage on it, though. That's not great. And 1 damage on this one. This is going to be another horrific turn for Randy Webbing, and you're going to see why Emerald Amethyst struggles so much with steel, and it's because of this big baddie Tink Giant Fairy coming down 1 to everything. Guess what? You're dead.
Yeah, I wish we had played Cusco last turn, because Cusco would play pretty well into this and make the Tinkerbell pretty awkward. But we drew Rafiki, so that was good.
That was great. And I think without that Rafiki, I think the game would have been over thanks to specifically this Rapunzel. Now, if you're Nicholas Roush, you're in a spot where your opponent's at 10 lore. So casting something like Whole New World is just not in the cards. If you do, you're likely to get flooded, and they're just going to quest before you can do much of anything to get back into it. So that's effectively a dead card in hand. We have a Rapunzel, which we're going to try to get some value out of, but it's going to be relatively difficult because Randy is not going to challenge. He's going to quest forever, and you're going to have to send your goons in and attacking, and he's going to say, okay, I'll draw a card. Thanks. Here's Cusco.
Yeah, it's funny. Stitch being able to shift to Stitch Rockstar, I think, makes it the right play. But if it was any other of the goons, I think you would actually have just played Rapunzel just so you can get your 2 lore going. Because, like you said, you're just not going to be doing anything else.
All right, Randy draws 2 cards from the double challenge, and then we're going to get 2 on the Simba, and we're going to heal that with Rapunzel and draw 2. And we're going to go back Randy Webbing's way.
And Randy in a really good position.
Yeah, I mean, Cusco about to ready up with 13 lore before you quest with it. It's got to be pretty scary stuff if you're Nicholas Roush. And you're seeing one of the reasons why Mad Hatter is seeing so much play in these Emerald decks, right? Like he was basically on no resources, but he's at a high lore total, and so Nicholas Rouse just essentially forced to throw two characters into the Mad Hatter, which allows Randy to draw two cards.
Mm-hmm. Just a massive swing.
Yeah. It looks like Randy's probably going to take game number 2 here, so it looks like we're going to be going to game number 3 here shortly. But Nicholas Roush still has a turn or two to get back in it. Here are 2 copies of Flynn Rider. These things quest for 2. We are threatening lethal. You need to deal with 2 of these characters on this turn, Nicholas Roush, or you're dead.
Yeah, and I think back to the turn 2 where we didn't go for the Flynn Rider, really coming back to kind of haunt us here. Still wouldn't be in a good position, but this whole new world is a pretty easy discard to Flynn. So we got that going for us.
All right, let's see if Roush has a way out. He can wheel with Whole New World by singing it with Rapunzel. And I think that there are 0 outs otherwise, so I think I would maybe do that. But instead, he's going to go for Be Our Guest. We're going to look at the top 4. Maybe there's a character he knows that if he hits, he can have a shot. Finds Ariel. Ariel into Grab Your Sword. Not quite enough now because the Ariel can't sing. And I think that's going to be all she wrote.
Yeah, it seems that we are just done for.
All right, that's going to do it. Nicholas Roush packs it in. Game number 2 goes to Randy Webbing. And we're going to be moving on to a game number 3. Your other semifinals match. If we could get an update from our spotter on how that's going, I'm curious how that backup match is going. We know we watched a lot of the Ruby Amethyst Mirror last round, well navigated by the victor and him in the top 4. We could see Ruby Amethyst Control take down the whole dang thing.
Yeah, we might. And it looks like they are going at least to game 2 as I'm watching in our little camera here.
Oh,
They
thank
just
God.
tried each other's deck. Yeah. So we'll have to see exactly where they're at.
All right, Mason, it's about that time. It's top 4 time. It's coming to the end of the day time. Tell me what deck you're most excited to play right now. Maybe it won't be the same way in 20 days, but right now, what are you excited to play in the TCG Player Lorcana Invitational on October 20th weekend?
Ruby Amethyst Control. I'm gonna play a bunch of Mickeys because Mickey's broken and people don't understand stat lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a 4-mana 3/4 is pretty good. And I think it breaks the mirror and is good against like these emerald decks. Like so much better than something like Mickey 8 that has evasive and lore 4. Like that card's just so bad in the mirror. It just
How many times in a row do I have to beat you on Pixelborn for you to play my deck instead?
I don't know, like 2 or 3 and have a convincing argument. I just don't think I would lose. I've watched the videos. I get you.
Look,
I clap.
deck's a lot different now.
All right.
It's getting spicy. That's all I'm saying.
All right. That's hype.
Look, whenever Chapter 2 comes out too, I really think we did a little testing with 0 to Hero. We talked about this earlier, and but for those of you who are just joining us or didn't hear it earlier, 0 to Hero, it kind of looks bad, but it kind of looks good on paper, right? It's 2 costs. I don't know if we can get it on screen. We might have passed the point where we can do that, but 0 to Hero, 2 cost song, uninkable for Amber, and it reduces the cost of the next character you play by 1 for every character you already have in play. So it works perfectly in my Stitch Blitz deck. I play so many characters, and I have a bunch of 2-drops that I would love to sing songs with. And 0 to Hero is a nice one because it allows you to play things like Hades for free, allows you to shift with Stitch Rockstar for extremely cheap, lets you even play a bunch of copies of Surfer Stitch in your deck that doesn't really want to play 7-drops.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Yeah, a very powerful effect whenever you can sort of turn your creatures into ink. That is a very strong thing historically in other games. And you can tell Ravensburg thinks it's strong because they didn't make it inkable. They don't want you splashing that one for free.
That's true. I do think the card in general is solid, but it has issues, right? You can't just put it in a normal Amber aggro deck. I think you need card draw engines, and the card draw engines that I'm already playing in Stitch Blitz are a Whole New World and Stitch Rockstar and even Hades. And so I think that in that you're just so flush with resources all the time that your bottleneck is often just access to ink. And something like uh Zero to Hero is just like the perfect fit for a deck like that. And it's
Mhm.
also a song for Aerial Singer, and it lets me get grab your sword out of the deck because I'm not really trying to challenge my opponent's stuff in my build.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Once again, I think Ruby Amethyst really benefits from a small card pool currently. So like when we get more cards, I think that deck will probably not be as strong for a little while until it gets something really messed up. So I'm definitely interested to see sort of what the metagame looks like when Chapter 2 drops later this year. But we'll have to wait and see.
Zero to Hero is the next best just in time. I actually despise just in time. I tried it a decent amount, and it was good. I'm not gonna say it was bad. There were times where it was great, but it was often just a really bad draw later in the game. I'm gonna post a link to my Stitch Zero deck in chat if you want to take a look at it. I think that Zero to Hero is great. But we have a top four match. This is game 3 underway. Randy Webbing on Emerald Amethyst is on the draw. Nicholas Roush on the play with Amber Steel. We have Hook into Prince Eric, 2 defensive characters, but they can start questing here. I think
Mhm.
that this is a pretty easy quest for one.
Yep. Get your points. Don't leave them on the table.
I mean, it's free, right? Like your
Mhm.
opponent, like you can literally think, hey, are there any cards in the entire game that punish me for this? And there's only one, and it's Meg. And even Meg is still trading, and like, who cares, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is something that we've seen a lot today. Players still a little unfamiliar with the card pool and missing on luring in certain spots or not fully thinking through like, oh, I don't want to get got by Rafiki or something, but not asking themselves the question of is Rafiki even that bad if that's what their turn is, right? So definitely going to see here. Also, big whiff.
Yep, big old whiffers. Definitely want to hit something when you play aerial, especially in matchups where you don't want to sing a whole new world. Singing a whole new world against another aggro deck is only good if you have a super explosive draw that allows you to empty your hand first, and them
Hmm.
having kind of a slower draw.
Agreed.
All right, if you're Nicholas Roush, are you double questing here, or are you and getting eaten by Rafiki, or what's going on?
I think that I would probably quest with one, but not the other. Yeah, because they could attack in with. Oh no, that's a yeah. Never mind. Never mind. I would double quest. My bad. For some reason I
I was
thought
thinking
that was
about double
definitely
quest.
enough.
It's tough because your Rafiki just straight up eats the Prince Eric, but like that's what Rafiki does. You just gotta get your points.
Yeah,
Make them have it too. Like some decks only play 2 Rafiki. Emerald already has like a pretty light amount of the or you'd only have a few spots really where you can play non-inkables, and Rafiki is low on my list in the Emerald decks.
agreed. Also, I just don't want my opponent to go like Maleficent into Mother Knows Best or on the other side. So
All right, well, Randy got a tough turn 3. Considering what to ink, has Tinkerbell, a couple other things. Gonna ink Mother Gothel. Is that how you say it?
I
Gothel.
think so. Eh,
And we'll see what the 3 drop is.
having a good time, and it's always fun to come out to these events. People are nice, people want to win or whatever, but generally the vibe is very chill and good.
I mean, the vibes at Apex Gaming in Caldwell, Ohio are immaculate. I don't know how else to say it. Just fun folks to hang out with. The games are fun. The tournaments are good. The commentary could be better, but that's on me.
And it looks like Randy, maybe it's just gonna Mother's Knows Best one of these things. Oh no,
Well,
okay. Has a friend from the other side. All right.
all right. We're going to draw 2. A lot of hullabaloo for just that. Doesn't want to quest with the Pascal. If you do, the Flynn Rider goes down, the Pascal goes down. So we're gonna leave that unquested.
Does need to start questing soon. If a Tinkerbell hits the board, and we can shift into Bink Tink, which here it comes. So I
Well,
wonder.
Nick Rouse actually has access to grab your sword right now, and I thought he might sing that with Ariel in Quest twice, but instead he's just going to challenge and discard. I think this is fine. Discards a Lilo.
Yeah, I think if Lilo was anything that could have been inked, I would have just sung "Grab Your Sword" and been
Right.
okay with what happens. But since it's not the case, it's where we are.
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I see
Well,
a grip full from Randy here.
yeah, Randy's got a lot of options. We haven't played many cards, and we just spent last turn drawing more cards.
Well,
Nicholas
I don't
has
know if you
seven.
know, the
Mhm.
3-drop slot for Emerald is quite bad.
Yeah, it's
It's
kind of
literally good.
no. I was gonna say, yeah, it's kind of the nice part of the Amethyst pair, right? Is that you have the high roll of Malevolent, sorry, to actually like make your draw kind of good.
Right. I wish there was one more good 3-drop that you could play because right now Maleficent's doing a ton of heavy lifting in this Emerald Amethyst deck.
Really is.
All right, here's a Hans. This can quest for 3, but Nicholas Roush is not under a ton of pressure. We have a Tinkerbell in play. We have a big Tink in hand. I don't know if we have a non-inkable. I think we drew Blasting Cannons. This is actually like not the best in the world for Nicholas Roush, but we can loot with Tinkerbell that's in play first if we want.
Yeah, I kind of like draw a discard a card. This blasting cannons is like not going to be super great. It could line up well against a Mad Hatter with your grab your sword, but I kind of like just taking a look at some ink. I don't love grabbing your sword here. If you do, I kind of want to blast some cannons and then start questing aggressively.
Well, it looks like we're going to do both, right? So grab your sword kills that, and then blasting cannon or fire the cannons kills the Hans, and now we get to quest for 3 uncontested, and we have 4 characters versus nil. And so we're up on well, we're only up on lore and characters, but we're down on ink and down on cards in hand, just one left for Nicholas Roush.
Yeah, and this is the big turn for Randy. Now, things like Cusco are gonna lose the race currently, but if you go like Cusco into Cusco or Mad Hatter into Cusco, we could stabilize things really quickly here. As Rafiki is coming down and is gonna eat the aerial.
Ariel's so good.
Yum yum. Ice cream, ice cream.
All right. Tinkerbell gets played as a resource. We're going to play a Duke. All right. Well, 2 damage on the Rafiki. We can trade with Prince Eric, but I like a loot looking for an inkable for Big Tink, and we find one. We're going to discard Whole New World. Here's New Dog, and here's Big Tink. We're going to chew up the Rapunzel, put a damage on that. I think a double quest is in order.
I'm with you.
Doesn't want to get rid of the Captain Hook just yet, valuing the ability to trade up for something with 3 willpower.
Yeah, interesting. It's close, right? Because you go to 7, and then the Duke is gonna eat the captain, but the captain might have to eat the Duke if things go kind of awkwardly. So
What is this, the Donner Party?
yeah, but
All right, well, what is this, Yellow Jackets?
hey, that one I know.
That show's awesome.
It's a great show. I gotta finish season
Not
2.
not for the faint of heart, but
Yeah,
it's good. All right, here's a play from Randy. We're going to lead off here with Mad Hatter.
yeah, and
5 cost 2/4.
I like developing the Mad Hatter here over something like a Cusco because it's gonna have to probably get attacked in. Nicholas is on low resources, and this is gonna allow you to start winning the lore race, right? Nicholas, yeah, has to lore here, gets 4 up to I believe like 10. And
All
Simba's nice.
right. Nice. Big pickup, Simba bodyguard here. And now we're going to go back Randy Webbing's way, and we'll see if he has some way to challenge. His deck is pretty weak at actually challenging opposing characters in general. And I think here, even with Mother's Knows Best, it's going to be kind of tough. It might just be ignore opponent for a turn, but no, we're going to go bounce in the Big Tink. It's going to put Little Tink and Big Tink back in hand. Do we have a 2-drop to follow up? No. We're going to quest for 3 up to 7. And with Duke up to 8.
Okay. So opening up Duke to get eaten by Simba. but
Yeah,
affirms from the other side.
happens. Yeah, we're gonna draw two with friends. Back Nicholas's way. We got a couple big tinks chilling, as well as a baby tink. I wonder if we go ink a little tink or ink a big tink, play little tink.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you want to be making more ink drops for some of your other mid game cards, and getting the tank is, I think, pretty good. Because you just kind of want to erase your lore here.
Yeah. Also, if I'm Nicholas, I don't really want to challenge the Duke because the Tinkerbell does threaten to deal one more damage to the Duke. But it
Mm-hmm.
looks like we're gonna just go ahead and go at him.
Yeah, I think it was fine to give up one to basically trade lore.
Yeah, I mean so if I quest with Captain Hook and Randy challenges it with the Mad Hatter, I count that as an absolute win because you're +1 lore and they're -3.
Yeah.
Also, they have to deal with the Simba bodyguard. So now the question is, do I attack twice into Mad Hatter and give Randy 2 more cards? And I think the answer is unfathomably no. But it looks like we're going to do it to try to stem the bleeding and going to go back Randy Webbing's way. I feel like Nicholas Rausch changed direction in what he was trying to do. And ultimately, I think it's going to come back and bite him. He's not going to win a longer game. He needs to play for a short game.
Yeah. Nicholas's deck is definitely not, it normally is not pigeonholed into such things, and I think that's what's catching him here. Normally he can do stuff like this, but look at how many cards Randy has. And Nicholas doesn't draw something like a whole new world to sort of reduce the card this quality. It's just, I don't know. It's getting out of control really bad.
All right, 6. Genie on the job. Gonna bounce that tink, slow you down. And now you wish you had played an ink last turn, even if it was the big tink or one of the two big tinks. John Smith goes to the inkwell.
Yeah, actually, the way we played the turn, I kind of wish we had just inked the little tink, and just been like big tink into big tink. But yeah, like I just don't actually want to play this little tink. I just want to hold it and then ink it next turn, and then that way you just go slam Tinkerbell, slam Tinkerbell.
All right, we're gonna do some questing. We'll see if Genie on the job wants to get interactive. You are losing the lore race, so I think it's important to use Genie here defensively by challenging.
Yeah, Genie's how big again? A 3/4?
Yeah, Genie on the job is a 6 cost, non-inkable, 3/4 with evasive, and it quests for 2. And when it enters play, it bounces an opposing character, or sorry, bounces any character back to their owner's hand. So you can bounce your opponent's stuff or your own.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of this hitting a Simba and then sort of working from there, because it will still live through the first big Tinkerbell's ability on entering. So that will let you still evasive it for another lore or attack in again. Because Randy doesn't know that it's double Tinkerbell in hand.
Nah, but one Tinkerbell with a shift can be bad. I know he has Rafiki in hand. He can use that to try to clear up the 2 things that have been questing, the Simba and the Prince Eric. But if he does that, his whole board gets eaten by big Tinkerbell, so it's like pretty tough. You just shift onto the little Tinkerbell. I guess you actually can't eat the genie because you can't
Yeah,
challenge because it'll die. Maybe you put 1 damage on the Rafiki by sending it at Prince Eric, 2 damage on the genie. No, that opens you up too.
yeah. I think you just have to genie the Simba down, because then you're gonna live through it all, right? Like,
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's a tough turn.
It is, and he's trying to figure it out. We got Hans at the ready. We got Rafiki as well. We also don't have to challenge. We can just quest for 2 with Genie, play 2 things, and say go, and wait for the Tinkerbell turn to happen. And then, if once Nicholas has quested, he has an extra turn to maybe draw Mother Knows Best or something similar to kind of reset again, right? Just keep putting
Mhm.
the opponent on the back foot.
Yeah, and with how much lore our cards make, right? It's actually pretty reasonable. Like this Rafiki can do that. It also could just not attack. It's probably best for 2 attack, I guess, and just stop the opponent from getting a bunch of lore. But
All right, we got
Now,
Rafiki kill Simba, and then Genie, instead of going after the prince, just decides not to. And here we have a big turn for Nicholas Roush. You can hard cast the Tinkerbell. If you do, you get the same effect as if you shift it because there's no legal attack after you shift. That 1 damage will finish off Rafiki, and Genie does have evasive. So if he sees that line, he'll likely just ink this Aladdin he drew, play a big Tinkerbell, and then kill the Rafiki, and then go questing.
mm,
Maybe he doesn't quest with Prince Eric. Maybe he wants to try to use it to challenge that Hans, but getting dangerously low on time. Not literal time, just time in game.
yep, the metaphorical time.
We got 150 viewers right now watching us play Disney's Lorcana. We don't even have a channel. Oh no. See
Well,
ya.
yeah, we only have a channel, and that's pretty exciting. So make sure that you follow Apex Gaming right now. That way you don't miss any of the action happening here.
Why
As
are you
we do
talking? I'm pretty sure stream's dead,
no,
bud.
it's still going. I'm watching it right now on Twitch.
Oh no. Well,
Uh,
good thing I didn't say anything shifty.
yeah, and Randy here is thinking about his turn. Uh, I don't know if production's actually here. They might have gone up for a second. Nope, they're talking in chat, which means they can hear us, which means we still can't see it on Discord.
All right, give me 1 moment. Apologies for that. Game's still happening though, so y'all see what's going on.
Yep,
More
as
than
we
we
do
do.
see the Maleficent get played.
Cool. I'm really glad I didn't say anything. I thought we were dead on air. Okay, here we go. Question for 5, up to 15. This looks pretty bad for Nicholas Roush. Let's see if this big Tinkerbell can save him.
Yeah, the second it's the hidden Tinkerbell here that's going to be probably doing it. So Nicholas has Quest with my 2 little friends available. The big tank is gonna clear up parts of the board. Then your big tank that can attack Hans, and that will kill
Genie.
Gine, yeah, and the Maleficent, which I
Why is
believe
it
I already
both?
did. Well, the doesn't
So
wait. Oh
Tink
yeah,
does. So Tink when it attacks. Oh, there's 2 Tinks attacking if you
the
shift. You want to shift.
thing,
That's my bad. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was thinking just hard cast, but yeah.
But you can't shift, right? Because Hans will die to the first one.
Right. So shifting again is not useful
Yeah, it
unless
just
you just
saves
want to
you.
play Be Our Guest
But if you
or
want to play
Quest.
VR, I guess you should do it first. Yeah, I guess
Oh, we're
questing for 1 more lore is actually
I
pretty
just saw
reasonable.
we're 1 short of questing for the win. That's sick. I thought we were maybe gonna surprise kill. That would have been cool.
So
All
yeah,
right.
now we do this.
Yep. Han's gonna squish, and Genie's gonna squish. 3 damage on the big tank, and then we're gonna quest for at least 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, I think we have to quest for 3.
I do too.
We
And
just got to
now
make it. Yeah, Randy with this Be Our Guest in hand probably should have cast it first.
you
But
and your perfect information.
yeah, why would I make this when I could make choices with all the
Wh-
information?
Why would you make uninformed decisions when you can make informed decisions? That's what you're saying, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense actually when you put it into terms. All right, Nicholas, are you going to cast this card? Be Our Guest. Look at the top 4. He's just considering whether or not he wants to quest with the Prince Eric. What's the
Yeah.
difference between 1 and 2? I think it's pretty high. I think this Tinkerbell has to get challenged, which means that if you quest a 17, maybe the other one doesn't get challenged. So,
Yeah.
oh, we're singing. Okay, I actually like this a bit better.
Yeah. If as long as you hit, it was good, and we did hit. We hit Lilo,
Yeah.
which is pretty massive. Because now you have to answer 2 of the Tinkerbells or win the game, and Randy cannot win the game on his turn. So with that being the case, we're gonna need something like Genie in order to actually win this.
Yeah, Simba is a tough one because Simba gives you the ability to protect the 3 damage Tinkerbell, But the Lilo adds another character that can quest for 2, and any 2 characters that quest for 2 is enough to get the job done. Here we're going to go with the Simba. This is the pivotal decision. Let's see if Randy has the out.
Yeah, this is so awkward because now Genie can go. Genie can bounce Simba. Maleficent attacks him to the damage tank. Then your Cusco puts yourself to 18. Your opponent can only get to 19, so they can't win. Where Lilo actually presents a winning thing some percentage of the time. But
Now,
we'll have to...
earlier, Randy inked a John Smith, and John Smith is actually perfect in situations like this because it prevents your opponent from questing.
Yep, would have been massive. Also, Rafiki here, pretty great card.
You need something that impacts the board immediately, or else the game's over, and I don't think he's got it.
Yeah, I think he has Cusco green card in hand, which might be the mother from Mother's Knows Best, Mother Gothel, and that might be it.
Yeah, Randy thumbing through his hand, can only get up to 19 lore. It's so close, but so far away. And it looks like Nicholas Roush is going to be your first finals competitor. Unless Randy's got a rabbit he can pull out of his hat.
Yeah.
But
I think it is over. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
all right, Randy packs it in. Nicholas Roush is your victor here in the semifinals. He's going to be your first person making it to the finals of our first TCG Player Invitational qualifier. Well done, well done.